and good day to everybody who joined us today. We have two very special guests. One is Rodrigo Garcia from the company PartsBase, and we have Eduardo Campos, who is a wisdom. I mean, a fountain of wisdom inside WillDom. So he will be sharing some insight with us. So for starting this conversation, Rodrigo, Eduardo already brought some beer in his cup. He keeps saying that he
No,
claims it's
not
coffee.
at all, not at all. Just a coffee,
So
cup of coffee.
good for you. So Rodrigo, tell us about PartsBase. It will be interesting to know more about your company. So please tell us a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Mauricio and Eduardo. First and foremost, I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you both here today. Excited to share some of our experience in the outsourcing staffing world. And of course, we can talk a little bit about PartsBase. So PartsBase is a fun fact, well, fun, true fact. So PartsBase was the world's first internet-driven parts locator service. So we were born in 1996. So we've been in business for a little bit over a quarter of a century. And essentially what we do is we provide the digital platform, the digital services that buyers and sellers in the aviation industry use to do business. So you can think of us a little bit of like a Google combined with an Amazon type of service. As of today, a little bit over 7,300 companies use our platform worldwide. On a monthly basis, over 20,000 users come into our platform to either on the buying side or the selling side to or in some cases just to do market research related to aviation and aerospace industries. But as I mentioned earlier, we operate worldwide in 133 regions and countries. Essentially, we're a global SaaS platform, and yeah, that's just a little bit of kind of a super quick overview of what PartsBase does, who we are.
Okay, great. So today we're here because the idea is to know how WillDom can help companies accelerating tech projects, and more specifically with staff augmentation. So Eduardo, tell us, what is a staff augmentation? How do you eat that?
Interesting question, Mauricio. And first of all, I want to thank you, Rodrigo, for being here. And you and I have a personal story that is topic for another podcast or webinar, whatever. Right now, it's all about you and the service that WillDom is providing to PartsBase. So just to give you a quick definition, so to speak, in terms of what does staff augmentation mean. It's a business strategy, right, in which a company supplements its internal workforce with external professionals or consultants. I think this approach is typically used to address specific skill gaps, meet short or long-term project needs, or even scale up quickly by hiring full-time equivalents through a third party, in this case, WillDom or someone else. But I think that's pretty much it. Staff augmentation is to grow a current team throughout a third party.
Okay, so great. So it seems you guys have a good relationship over the years, and I'm pretty sure that helps. But anyway, Rodrigo, why in a company like PartsBase might consider going with a staff augmentation? Why? Because when you talk with big companies, usually everybody thinks that they have all the resources of the world and they don't need to do that. So please tell us, why do you consider to go into that?
Of course. Yeah, well, I would say there are different reasons depending on the company, but I would say at least for us, and I think that's one of the trends, one of the reasons why some other companies may decide to leverage an outsourcing staff augmentation partner is simply speed to market. Speed to market in the sense that, well, if you identify the right outsourcing partner, well, they're going to have access to a wide pool of resources, talent that is applicable to whatever technologies, whatever platforms you support. It's also going to save you time in terms of potentially ramping up your talent acquisition team or retooling it to adequately help you source IT personnel. And the other thing is that, again, if you select the appropriate, the right partner, well, it's not only a wider pool of candidates, but it's also a wider selection in terms, or wider audience in terms of geographical coverage, right? So I would say first and foremost, speed to market. In some other cases, you could also say that companies do it for risk mitigation. In some other cases, it can be also cost control, be more effective in terms of how they manage the cost of their IT operation. So I think those are probably some of the three elements that I would consider that many companies use as a gauge to make the determination to leverage an outsourcing staffing partner.
So how come you consider WillDom for doing that? How come you took the decision to go with WillDom?
Of course, yeah. So, well, before a big part of the story, like for many companies out there, is the pandemic, right? So before the pandemic, our company was structured in a certain way. We have a larger IT, or larger compared to what we have now, internal IT staff. So the pandemic hit, and like many companies, well, we had to make adjustments in terms of how the company was structured. We had to reduce staff, etc. So we come out of the pandemic. Fortunately for us, well, we're in a very strong positioning in terms of the market that we serve. So essentially, well, it is time for us to rebuild our IT staff, but we wanted to do it as quickly and as cost effectively as possible. So that's when we made the determination that, yeah, it's time for us to expand the team, grow the team once more. We have two options, right? We can do it internally. We do have an internal talent acquisition team, or we can leverage an external company, an external partner to help us in that process. Now, why we selected WillDom is, well, as Eduardo alluded at the beginning, well, he and I shared a past life together. So it's to me, at the end of the day, doing business with not only with companies, but with people that not only that but that they have I would say the experience in this particular case to help you create an IT team with the right quality, with the right mix, with the right skills, with the right attitude is very, very important. It was very important to me because, again, speed to market is very critical to us. Another reason why we chose WillDom is because, as I was alluding earlier, it's going to give you a larger geographical coverage, so which is the case with WillDom as well. Rate-wise, I think WillDom are very competitive. One key differentiator that I noticed on WillDom's proposal when compared to other potential outsourcing partners is that their rates are all inclusive. Most outsourcing companies are going to say, well, it's going to be X dollars for the hour, and it's X number of hours per month. If you go over and under, well, we have to make some adjustments there. And given the type of work that we do, for us, it was inclusive to have. It was important to have an all-inclusive rate, and WillDom was the only company that put together kind of the package that included that feature along some other things that were very important to us. But I would say again, it's the only company that we spoke to that was able to offer us that all-inclusive rate per resource.
Great. So Eduardo, now that you already took a sip of your beer, tell us, how did you do that? I mean, how were you able to actually? Everybody will believe about the beer at the end of the hour, believe me. So, how come you in WillDom, the company can actually help in the speed to the market requirement And at the same time, how do you react to such requirements from the client? Tell us a bit more about that.
Let me actually share a little bit of the story. When we began assisting PartsBase, actually, Rodrigo and I got in touch. I guess it was 2 years, 3 years ago, when you guys were also willing to augment
3 years ago.
Your team.
Yeah.
3 years ago. And at that point in time, we actually had a coverage or a reach only in Mexico, which, I mean, there's huge capabilities over here in Mexico as a country. But 2 years ago, being part of WillDom, where we have a much wider reach in terms of talent, since we are not only based in Mexico, but we are based in 10 different countries in Latin America, covering mainly the whole region. That's how we actually were able to leverage and to bring PartsBase, in this case, all the different capabilities, the ability to provide competitive rates with very good talents, which, by the way, and I say this with all due respect, but I wouldn't expect in some specific countries that we will find so great talents when we're doing our sourcing process. And we did. So that's something that we were able to gauge and to provide and to present to PartsBase for the different positions that we were assisting. So the reach was definitely something that was, for me as a service provider, a way to tackle the needs that PartsBase was seeking for. So, of course, we have people that are based in Mexico, but now we also have people that are based in different countries, including Paraguay, Argentina, amongst others. So I think that's a way to do it. Of course, there's a screening process and a vetting process that we need to comply with to make sure that whomever we are presenting to PartsBase or to any other client makes sense in terms of the quality, in terms of the experience of being exposed to international markets. Language, English communication skills is so important. Even though in this particular case, and Rodrigo can just confirm this to us, is that even though we can speak in Spanish because of the nature and the team, there is some of them are Spanish speakers. English is definitely a must. So having that vetting process where we can gauge the people speaking in English, being fluent enough to communicate, that was also part of the way how we were presenting and sharing the different candidates with PartsBase, which by the way, this leads me to something very particular that we live with PartsBase. And Rodrigo, I will, if I may, I will ask a question or ask you to elaborate on this. But there's a specific part of the process that we follow with you guys specifically, which was doing asynchronous video interviews. We share the candidates to you using not the typical way, either with just sending a resume, but also we were sharing some video interviews that the candidates were recording on a synchronous way. Could you share with the audience and with everyone how that process helped to either expedite or make it, I mean, in general, what was the experience of that?
Of course. Yeah, no, I would say, like, if you were to ask me, like, what are some of the benefits, right, that we've seen in the relationship, like the before and after. So when we first started the conversation, you spoke about how you leverage a little bit of a different talent acquisition process that leverages these asynchronous interviews. So it sounded great in terms of what we talked about it, but to your point, once we went through the experience, I can tell you that that's one of the biggest benefits that we got into kind of the early stage of the relationship, where like just being able to working with your talent acquisition team, which they've done an amazing work, you as well have been instrumental. But yeah, essentially working with us to understand what the profile requires, the skill set that is required, the type of additional attributes, if you will, intangibles associated to the position. And then based on that, you would tailor your talent identification selection process, conducting those interviews on our behalf, recording them and sharing them with us. That's a huge time saver for us. right? So going back to what I was saying at the beginning in terms of, well, if you select the right outsourcing partner, is not only going to save you potentially money in terms of rates or the candidates that you are able to hire through them, but the talent acquisition process in itself, it can be a huge, there can be very important savings there. Yeah, using your, I think it's your proprietary technology to record the interviews, share them with us. It makes it very, very easy and seamless for our, in this case, the hiring manager to review. And if we like it, that's great. If we want to have like a secondary interview, of course we can do that. But one of the things that I would share is that, yeah, for us, I think there's only two positions where we're actually conducting a second interview ourselves. But for all the other positions that you've staffed for us, we entirely rely on that asynchronous like interview process. And as I said, it's been a great time saver for us.
Okay, great. Now, Rodrigo, without revealing any industrial secrets or whatever, when we think about PartBase, sounds like a huge company. So if we are talking about very specific projects in which WillDom is helping you with a staff augmentation, can you pinpoint one of them and tell
Of
us
course.
a little bit more about it?
Of course, yeah. So we're, as I mentioned earlier, well, we operate worldwide. So thousands of users literally every day, every month use our product, use our platform to conduct business. So in terms of the technology stack that we use to address all of the different needs within our vertical, that stack is pretty diverse. So the WillDom has been instrumental in terms of helping us quickly ramp up our the team that works on our CRM and marketplace platforms. It's the same core. We were struggling earlier, trying just to identify some basic resources to help us with that. So that's an area, that's a particular like strategic project for us in terms of like now and years to come. So identifying backend developers, front-end developers that help us to accelerate the growth of those two platforms. That's an area, if I had to select the one project where we're seeing a significant increase in throughput, is that one. We also leverage WillDom resources on our content management platform as well. There we use WordPress. So yeah, it was another platform that, believe it or not, we were struggling to find an adequate resource here in the United States. So with WillDom's assistance, now we have a resource that, interesting. I know that particular project is I think it's the evolution of at least for us of outsourcing using a staffing partner, because this particular resource that works in with our WordPress platform, it's not even reporting directly to IT. It's connected directly to marketing. So going back to what Eduardo was saying in terms of communication skills, the ability to work directly with the business, for this particular position, it was a must-have for the role to be successful. And in this particular project, well, we started with this research about 2 months ago. We've received very, very good feedback from the business, in this case, from the marketing organization. So it kind of goes back to like finding the right IT talent in some cases is not only about the technical skills, but the additional intangibles potentially associated to a given position, and of course, the right attitude, which in this case, for all the resources that we've hired through WillDom, it's been a great experience in the sense that they are all hungry and willing to learn and contribute to whatever project they're assigned to.
And going a little bit deeper, how is the culture in PartSpace, and how WillDom has adapted to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And well, our culture, we're extremely entrepreneurial. So we never literally we never run out of good ideas in terms of how we're going to evolve the platform, how we can expand our product offering to our customers. So we are very fluid, as I said, entrepreneurial culture. So it doesn't matter if it's IT, if it's marketing, if it's sales, if it's, I don't know, any area in the organization. It's very important to have that ability to quickly adapt to change. So IT, I guess of all departments, is kind of the department that is kind of spearheading many of those initiatives. So for us, it's very important that our resources have, as I said, the right skill set, but I would say even more importantly, the right attitude to embrace challenges and learn new things every day. Right. So we hire resources with a specific quote unquote skill set in mind, but we know that as we continue developing roadmap for our products, for our services, well, we're going to ask them to expand their knowledge, learn new things. And so for us, the attitude component is having individuals with the right attitude is, I would say, is in some cases is even more important than their initial skill set, because aptitude you can train, you can teach, you can give them a course, whatever, but the attitude or the work ethic, if they don't have that, I don't think that's something that we can teach. So that's one of the areas where I would say WillDom has also been very successful in adapting to our culture.
Yeah, we
Okay,
were sorry, Mauricio.
go ahead.
We were talking about last week about in our previous life we used to manage this 9-block matrix, right?
That's
We
right.
were discussing about you can find someone, and this is based on Jack Welch's philosophy, where he was saying you can identify a top talent in terms of technical skills, but if that person doesn't have the integrity or the values that the company is seeking for, it's easy to get a hit in the back, right? And that's something that we certainly like to gauge from a person. It's complicated. I mean, we're dealing with people, and everybody's selling, right, themselves or whatever. But that's something that we definitely try to mitigate, not only for you as a client, but also for us, because at the end of the day, there's someone that is working for our company, and we want every time that we do a hire, even though it's been fully dedicated to a specific client, we want them to stay with us for the long run, right? And so that's why we need to make sure that it complies or aligns with the company culture.
Okay, this is water. Look, this is water. And just to expand a little bit more, Eduardo, how WillDom serves people? How WillDom make this selection of people inside the company? And how WillDom prepare the people to adapt to the company, to the client's culture? Can you expand that a little bit more, please?
There are too many questions in a single one, Mauricio. I'll try to answer all of them.
You can
the best way
handle
I
that.
can.
Come on. After the third beer, you will handle 50
I know.
questions at the same time. Go ahead.
I know. No. I mean, that's our core business at the end of the day. WillDom can say that we provide staff augmentation services, that we provide agile teams and so many other things. At the end of the day, everything translates in the talent that we source and are part of a company. So we have, I need to say, we have amazing talent acquisition team in the different offices that we have in the region. We have dedicated teams that are continuously doing sourcing, proactively seeking for candidates based, of course, on the different skill set that typically our clients are looking for. So and proactively gauging whether they are in what companies they've been working with, what kind of activities, responsibilities they've had. And internally, we have, and this is a commercial, so to speak. We use our internal tool called Wave. Within Wave, we actually do all the tracking of the candidates from day one, of what's their expertise. We have all the resumes. We have all the different assignments if they are already been fully dedicated to specific clients and so on. So that gives us all the history, what has happened with the different candidates along the way that they've been working with WillDom. So that also gives us an insight where when we want to propose a candidate to a client, if we have some background about him or her, why we are actually proposing them, because we have a previous story of each one of them. So we leverage technology, of course, to do that. I mentioned Wave. The other one that I mentioned previously was our video interviewing platform, Colloquio. And so that's a way how we can also vet the candidates, having talent acquisitions leverage technology, but they also need to have conversation with each one of the candidates. We need to make it personal, even though we use a lot of technology to do that. We also have our talent team using coding challenges as needed. Of course, not all of the clients are in need of that, or they actually already have their own coding challenges, so we don't duplicate that effort. But as needed, we can also use the different technology that we use internally. So that's the main way to do it. But we make it personal. At the end of the day, we are dealing with human beings, and we need to make it this kind of relationship. I always say that I have two different clients. The one that I have a contract with, in this case, for instance, PartsBase, but my other client is the candidate. We need to treat them the same way, right? We need to be very, very careful, or very, dedicated with the process that we follow with each one of the candidates, because at the end of the day, they might become our employees, and we want them to feel, engaged and comfortable with us.
Great. We believe you are drinking coffee, Rodrigo. So now that you're enjoying your coffee, tell us, now that you have a relationship with WillDom, how has been the communication with WillDom now in the day-to-day? What kind of relationship there is now that the work is going on?
Of course, yeah. So, well, is starting with the talent acquisition process. Well, we have a dedicated point of contact on the WillDom side that is always available to talk to us in terms of new positions, new requirements that they could assist us with. That's the talent acquisition side. Now, if we were to talk about the day-to-day operations, we also have a dedicated customer success manager. Actually, I don't know how you guys call it, Eduardo, but it's our
delivery manager. Yeah.
Delivery manager, right? Yes, exactly. So yeah, Val is always there, available to us to listen to feedback that we may have about the candidate. I'm sorry, about the personnel that is already working with us. We have a monthly meeting with her to review the status of the engagement, any areas where WillDom can help us either provide additional training, additional coaching. As we said before, is not only on the technical side, it could be sometimes helping us with reinforcing certain topics around the culture, around the whatever the case may be. So I think that's instrumental for us to ensure the success of our projects. And also, as Eduardo was saying, making sure that, well, everybody feels like part of the team, etc. So I would say, like, yeah, whenever we've had, because like anything else, right? There's nothing perfect, right? So we've had some situations where we've required some additional support, and Eduardo has always been there as an I know that's not his role, but he has always been available to us whenever we need to discuss something. So he participates in, and in many cases, he has been instrumental to address whatever challenges we face.
So Eduardo, we heard the delivery part. So can you explain that a little bit further? Even though it's like kind of the same, but this is, Rodrigo just mentioned what the client sees. So can you explain how that happens internally?
Absolutely. And that's a key role for us, because the process begins when we provide the talent, when the talent has been working, but that's just the start of a journey. That's just the beginning of a journey. So we want them to feel comfortable. So the delivery manager, the main activity or main responsibility is to be in continuous communication with all the that are working for a client, to gauge temperature, so to speak. So she's continuously, or the role is continuously in communication with the people, just to identify potential risks, meaning that even they don't have the appropriate training to do the job, or if they are actually not doing not getting the appropriate information to do the daily activities, or because everything is going smoothly. Both ways. We want to make sure that when things are not happening, how we can mitigate those kind of situations. But when everything is working properly, to gather that feedback also from them. And the same role is doing this exact same process with our clients, just to match the feedback, right? Because we could potentially get feedback from one of our people saying everything is going smooth, and eventually get a not so positive feedback from our clients. So we need to definitely to make sure that whatever we're getting from one side is the same that we're getting from the other side. If not, let me actually give you an example of what we are doing previously, probably not right now, but we typically send, or the delivery manager sends a traffic light, an easy way for the client to say everything is going well with the green, or we have some sort of concerns, or something is not going the best way we would expect. So it's a yellow or even a red if the things are not going accordingly. So if we get a yellow, we definitely need to have a conversation. If we get a green, we no action, no further action is required. But if we get a yellow, and that's something that we might love to implement with PartsBase, is if we're getting a yellow, we certainly need to sit and have a conversation to make sure that we can adjust whatever needs to be adjusted. So I don't know if I explained the process correctly, but it's, for me, is as Rodrigo mentioned before, it's instrumental. That person is the one that is providing the temperature of how the relationship is happening, and to make sure that our people is definitely performing and feeling engaged within our customers' organization, but also being part of WillDom's organization.
I told you, you're a fountain of wisdom, so it's fine, the explanation. Okay, Rodrigo, as you were mentioning before, we don't live in a perfect world. So when things go messy, which is the difference between having just a regular vendor against a partner?
Yeah, that's I would say that's a really good question. And the first thing that I would like to point out is that we consider, well, so for us, for a vendor to be part of our organization, they need to be they need to be a partner, right? Because vendors, it's almost like, well, yeah, I provide you a service, but at the end of the day, it's just a service. But in our particular case, developing that relationships and knowing that the companies that we're interacting with are willing to make that commitment to the relationship, to our success, that's where like a true partnership is, right? So for us, I would say first and foremost, we don't work with vendors, we work with partners. If a company doesn't meet that criteria, we just don't do business with them. So to me, it's like, if I was to, one of the selection criteria that I would use to pick any company to do business with in this capacity, if I don't see that there is the capability for them to become a partner, it doesn't make sense, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to be invested in their relationship on both ends, right? Our success is their success. So for us, that's very, very important. And kind of going back to the very beginning of the conversation, one of the reasons why we are asking me, right? So why is it that we selected, or what were some of the elements that led to us selecting WillDom, is to mention, I know that Eduardo knows what it takes to run a successful IT organization. I know it. I was there with him. So now that, well, he founded, he created his own company, etc. So it's just somebody that I know from experience. He has done it. So the team, the organization that he put around him, it has that same DNA, for a lack of a better word.
So I think it's natural and fair to ask you, Eduardo, how WillDom guarantees that becomes a partner for the clients?
I think it's for me. I'm gonna speak for myself, representing the company, of course. But for me, it's a personal relationship. When you build that trust with a person who represents their own company, you make it personal, and therefore you don't want to mess it up, right? Having that in top of of my mind helps me to work with my team to make sure that we're going to deliver accordingly, right? Probably it's not the what you will read from the business books, but I definitely love to make it personal, to make sure that we are doing we're following the right way, and if not, that we certainly need to switch or to change things to make our customers happy. As I was saying originally in this conversation, I know Rodrigo, I guess, for almost 20 years now. It's been a long time. It's a lifetime. That also gives me the opportunity to say, yes, I can do it. And if not, I will certainly say, Rodrigo, we are not able to provide that kind of service, being totally transparent with him. I try to do the same with the rest of our clients. Most of them, I know them just for a couple of months or so, but at the end of the day, it's a personal relationship. And I think WillDom makes it the same way as a company. We love to build relationships, and we want to become a trustworthy partner in the process, to make sure that, as Rodrigo mentioned, if we succeed both of us. If we fail, we're going to fail together. But I don't want my clients to fail at all. But what I'm saying is that we are in the same boat.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a final question for you, Rodrigo. Please tell us, what would you like the audience take away today?
Of course, yeah, thank you. So, well, the first things that is important to remember is that it might be obvious, but I think sometimes that we underestimate it, right? So IT staff augmentation outsourcing has been around forever, right? Meaning for at least 30 years, right? Started with the big bang in the 90s, GE and some of the big players that, you know what, we have to outsource everything. This is the best thing after sliced bread. We're going to save money. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Then they realized outsourcing everything, that meant that the knowledge was going out the door as well. So then they said, no. So now let's bring them back in, right? So then they pull back. Then you have the renaissance around IT staff augmentation outsourcing. Well, we have to be a little bit more strategic, right? So it's been like almost like a little bit of a roller coaster. But in a nutshell, IT outsourcing has been around for a long time. And what I mean by that is that there is, I think it's an industry, it's a service that it's very mature. Now, with that said, it's also important to consider that especially now in the post-pandemic world, any type of company relies in technology more than ever, right? More than ever. I would say some people will tell you that the companies with the best team, those are the ones that are going to win. I would say that, and those that have the best technology, right? But at the same time, the more offering that you have in terms of technology, well, that means that is potentially more platforms that you have to implement, that you have to support, and that you have to maintain. If you try to do that with only internal resources, it can be very, very expensive. And not only in terms of the actual monies that would be associated to the undertaking, but the time that it would take you to fulfill all those roles internally. So with that in mind, I believe that in this day and age, identifying, like for a technology-driven company, which I think it should be everybody out there, identifying a an effective IT outsourcing partner is crucial to winning the game. I don't know what industry you're in, but it's crucial for the reasons that we spoke about earlier in terms of speed to market, risk mitigation, redundancy, ramping up new technologies where you don't have the right expertise internally, or even the right expertise to hire the person to help you with that technology. What I would say is, yeah, to every company out there, as I said at the beginning, not for all roles, but if you want to win, you need to consider, at the very least, consider IT outsourcing with a strategic partner. And as we talked about earlier, I mean, the benefits are very tangible. It's going to help you with saving money, accelerating hiring, etc. So it's just, I think it's very, very important to consider IT outsourcing as part of a company's strategy to ultimately thrive and succeed in the new world.
Great. Any final comments, Eduardo?
No, more than thank you, Rodrigo, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you.
Likewise.
This opportunity of partnering with PartsBase has been just amazing, and just to give also additional elements. There's scalability opportunities. There's speed in terms of growing a team. Doing it near shore, I would say it has been just an amazing opportunity for North American companies to make it real. Instead of, I mean, there could be roles that you can send offshore. Of course, there's huge capabilities to send it offshore, but the fact of doing it near shore with following the same time zone or similar time zone, the ability to just travel back and forth probably the same day, which sometimes actually it's easier to travel either to Mexico or some other Latin America countries instead of doing it domestically in the US, from coast to coast is sometimes a little bit tough. And of course, the culture affinity. We can discuss about football. Cowboys is one of the best teams in football. I know that Rodrigo can validate that with me. But I mean, there's huge opportunity. I will invite our audience to take a look to our website, and if we can be of assistance, more than happy. And thank you for coordinating this, Mauricio.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Rodrigo, especially you. Great company, great experience with you. We wish you all the luck, and we hope WillDom can join you in your future growth. And for you, Eduardo, I certify you were drinking coffee. If I was one of you, it's just for the sake of the conversation. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care, and hope to see you in the following event that we have. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. It was great being here. Looking forward to our next conversation. Take good care. Thank you.